today. I want to thank you for the invitation to come welcome everyone to celebrate Seward Park's Torii. Our tribe thanks for your friendship because we are a friendly tribe. I want you to know that, first class. We are friendly people. As our chief was when he welcomed everybody over 160 years ago, when everybody started coming from the east to settle in this city. And I want to thank the Creator for giving us a lovely day.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Creator. And also for this wonderful day of celebration. And I want to introduce Ken Workman. He's a Duwamish council person. He wants to share about the land acknowledgement, and he'll do a good job, won't you, Ken? Thank you very much.
Nasquadidacha, Tsitsiab, Cecile Hansen. And these words are the ancient words of the Duwamish people. Asquadid, it means thanking. I'm in the state of thanking. Honorable person, high status person, chair of the Duwamish tribe, Cecile Hansen. And these are the words that were taken from us. And so by way of formal introduction, Yayustobs Tits Da Hata Duabs. I am workman of the Duwamish tribe. Akwayeku, Siab Sialchad. And great grandson of Chief Seattle. A long time ago, my grandfather stood on the shores of Alki, and he said something like this. He said, Slalil disiaya disha padatea lo Duabs, which simply means, come ashore, my friends. Come ashore onto this land of the Duwamish. You are welcome here on this ancient land. And so as Duwamish people, we continue to do this even today. And so we recognize that the world is a much smaller place. And so when we say this word guiid, it means invite. It means you're welcome here. But when we say gui, it means the whole canoe is welcome here. But we recognize the world is a smaller place now, and so we say gui hidak, baktes, atsatito bisali, okitid of skoiswa tuftra, tisha paratea lok duabs. And thank you for the appropriate looks. Which simply means that we as Duwamish people welcome people from all around the world onto this land of the ancient Duwamish. And we're here today to celebrate the erection of this new Torii made out of earthen materials, made out of solid rock. And so it reminds me of something that my grandfather said in 1855 when he was talking about the trees and the environment. And even the rocks and the valleys retain the memory of the people. And so standing here today and listening to these drums pound, in this celebration, I am reminded that these rocks right here, these pillars, are retaining the memory of what's happening here today. And so we say, Esquadidicha Saksiab Twadagwi Wiutsu o Salio Kitidavskoiswatupte, which simply means we are thanking and thankful for all the people that live on Mother Earth today. And so I'd like to part with a simple Gwigwi Hidak to Siaya. Gwigwi Hidak to Siaya. Gwigwi Hidak to Siaya Deshapat. Welcome, welcome, and welcome to this land.
I'm Paul Talbert, president of Friends of Seward Park, and we have some gifts for our speakers. So,
Thank you, Paul.
this is some photos from our centennial celebration where you're singing good caring.
These are photos from the Seward Park 100th anniversary celebration.
And we have some T-shirts.
It's always good to have T-shirts.
And then you're Indian, and we're calling you extra large.
There you go. You'll grow into it, like my mom used to say.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. So I'm Joey Manson. I'm the Center Director at the Seward Park Audubon Center, and I'm fortunate enough to work in this beautiful park more days a week than I intended, but I get to work here amongst these beautiful tall trees, birds, and everything else that a park may bring. Now, I don't know if you all noticed that, but when the taiko drummers, Cecile and Ken were up here, the sun came out, and now it's going back down. I wonder what kind of symbol that is. I noticed all the people out there shading their eyes before, and now you can look directly and take your sunglasses off. Anyway, I had the privilege of working here, and I've been asked to kind of be the MC of sort for this wonderful, wonderful event. And I first want to thank the taiko drummers, the Seattle School of Taiko, for their performance. Incredible way to kick off an event like this. And let's see, the School of Taiko promotes mutual understanding through sharing Japanese performance. Thank you. And of course, from the Duwamish tribe, we have Cecile Hansen and Ken Workman. And we appreciate them coming out here and sharing words and kind thoughts and a message from the tribe and all the work that they do. And they're welcoming over 130 years of bringing more people to this beautiful city that we all appreciate and love. And at this point, I'm going to give the microphone just quickly to Paul Talbert, who wants to recognize a few people in the crowd. I know there's probably people we'll miss, but we do want to recognize a couple of folks out there.
So we have a special guest here. I think we have the Japanese Consul General, Inagaki Kisao, if you could stand or wave. And we have other special guests, but I think they'll get introduced as they come out. So.
Thank you, Paul. So, if you're not familiar with a Torii, the word literally means bird perch. And as the director of Seward Park Audubon Center, we deal a lot with birds, so it has a significant meaning to us. What I'm told is that the perch was set for a particular rooster to greet the morning sun. So it was always kept in these natural places and places of beauty to recognize the beginning of a new day. So we're very fortunate that symbol is there, but of course there are many more symbols that the Torii brings. And of course these things will be revealed to you throughout the day. Now, oh, and there's a beautiful bald eagle just soaring around out there. This is indeed a truly wonderful day. So, Tories are many times made of wood, sometimes they're made of stone, and we have the benefit of this Torii being made of both of those things. These basalt pillars were found here in the state of Washington and trucked here after they were milled to be the perfect size. The cross members here, the cross member that is the top of the Torii, those were taken from trees fallen from Vancouver Island up in Canada and brought down here. And the details on them, the way they fit and finish without screws or bolts, is miraculous. And you can do something this large and have it just fall into place. So that's a little bit on that part of it. And at this point, I want to turn the microphone over to a person who's been part of the Seattle landscape for a number of years. She is the representative for the state of Washington for my district, which is the 37th. She is Sharon Tomiko Santos, who's going to bring you a few words from her perspective.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Paul. Oh, there we go. First of all, I just want to say it has been my honor to represent the 37th Legislative District in the State House of Representatives for the past 24 years. Why? Because I have the glorious privilege to represent the most diverse legislative district in the state of Washington that has remained unchanged for the last 30 years. It is the district in which I was raised, by the people and the communities who populated and often settled in these areas. And so I bring with me a strong sense of honor as well as obligation to represent that history of so many generations of peoples from all over the world. Thank you for this opportunity to celebrate with you the return of the majestic Torii to Seward Park. Yes, is this not a beautiful, beautiful statement? I want to thank the Friends of Seward Park, an all-volunteer organization, for initiating and completing this project, as well as many other projects which enhance the accessibility and deepen the meaningfulness of this, excuse my bias, but this crown jewel of the Olmsted legacy in the city of Seattle. I want to thank the city of Seattle and the Parks Department for all of your work in stewarding this jewel of our shared history. And finally, I want to thank my longtime dear friend Joni Secco, with whom I share a name as well as many fond memories, for recommending that I say just a few words today. She's hiding in the background because she is the typical volunteer who doesn't want to be recognized. So we have to recognize Joni and all of the volunteers. So, like so many generations of South End kids, I spent countless hours and days within the sentinel shadow of the Seward Park Torii, the original, playing in the lake, attending summer camps, learning how to drive. But until I began to think about what I was going to say to all of you today, I hadn't realized that the removal of the original gate had left me feeling bereft. I felt something similar when the old Six Stadium was torn down. It's that sad, empty feeling that's left when something meaningful to me and my history, the physical evidence of my memories, is eliminated. And that's why this is such a joyous occasion for me. And I suspect for many other long-time generational residents of these neighborhoods around Seward Park. For me, this return of the Seward Park Torii represents a reclamation of the historic, the symbolic, and the iconic. Now, I only have a few minutes, so I'm going to rush through this, but I do want to tell you why those words come to my mind. The historic. The original Torii, as your program will note, I didn't know this till I read the program, was designed by Mr. Arai, and I see a descendant of the Arai family here. Wave, Jerry. As well as being constructed by my neighbor across the street when I was a little girl, actually his father, Mr. Ishimitsu, who was known for their carpentry work in the Rainier Valley, Ishimitsu and Sons. It represented, I think, a statement that our immigrant forebears recognized that they were here to stay. Thank you to the Duwamish for welcoming so many generations of immigrants to this place, your home, so that we could form a community together. It is the historic coming together of immigrants and American-born, of people from Japan, with the indigenous, of people from places all around the world. It is that statement that this is now our home too.
And I love the people in it. And I will lead discussions to where we fight to understand what we have in common. Now that's the right answer for me. But every time I see this, I will think about my Japanese culture. I'll think about my African American culture. And whether you come from the west coast of Africa, a village in East Africa, South America, a country in Europe, you come from Ukraine, I'll think about what we have in common. When I look at what I see right now, this is Seattle at its best. Sharon, this is Seattle at its best. This is one of our finest moments. So I'm going to ask upon you, when I talk about one Seattle, this is what it's about. It's about putting away our differences just for a little while so we can hear one another. That's why I say one Seattle. I say there's hundreds of cities named Washington, hundreds of cities named Franklin, hundreds of cities named Springfield. Only one Seattle. And Ken, when I heard you say those beautiful words in your native language, and contrary to popular thought, I was not around when your grandfather was around. I sort of closed my eyes and I just envisioned the welcome, Cecilia. I just sort of saw it, right? I just see that, and we are all beneficiaries of that welcoming. That's what this represents. Oneness. Oneness, Council General, oneness. So I leave you with my mantra, my belief. One Seattle. Thank you very much.
It's called For All the Government Took. For all the government took from us during World War II, 60 years later, I took a piece of basalt from Minidoka, Idaho. After the 12-hour bus ride from Seattle, I returned to what was the Idaho desert in 1943. Accompanied by 65 other pilgrims, I walked the North Canal near the Snake River, where the barracks used to be. A Park Service map marked Block 26, temporary home of my parents during the war. Gone were the barracks, barbed wire, guard towers, and 10,000 souls. Time, nature, and cultivation healed the land, transformed the desert into green fields. What was left? Cracked concrete foundations, crumbled masonry. Remnants of Kubota's garden broke through a knoll, cropping up like an ancient druid rock formation in the image of an eagle, wings spread and extended, emblazoned on the Minidoka honor roll of Nisei soldiers. The wind swirled dust clouds, ghosts of Minidoka's wandering souls. I visualized my late father in the Block 33 canteen, sitting in a rocking chair, chucking potatoes at the potbelly stove, knocking soot loose from the pipes on a cold Idaho morning. I saw my mother scrub heaps of diapers on a metal washboard. For all the government took from us during World War II, 60 years later, I took a piece of black basalt. To make peace with the land, I buried a quartz crystal that had traveled with me to the family grave in Hiroshima, pushed it deep into the soil, thought I heard a cry from this frozen tear. With hands shaking, I retrieved it, hurled it into the canal, where like a boulder, it rippled concentric circles, changed the course of the canal for a minute, a day, and possibly years. A prismatic tear gazes into the desert's heart, a tear that will never fall but will surface in the autumn when the North Canal is shut, will sparkle in the dry stream bed through winter until covered by snow, to be submerged in spring when the fields are irrigated, and to disappear entirely from the waters of the Snake if discovered by a Minidoka pilgrim. A souvenir from the desert and reminder of how pain and suffering can span lifetimes or dissipate like light fractured into rainbows if seen through clear angles, colors that vibrate and inhabit the soul, power enough to release wandering ghosts from their earthbound Minidoka. For all the government took from me, I took a rock and left a crystal in its place. The next poem, about 6 years ago, thank you. About 6 years ago, Jerry Arai, whose father designed the first Torii, asked me to write a poem for a bench that would be part of the Torii project. The bench, as you can well see, didn't make it into the final design, but the poem still exists. And it is entitled The Fallen, and it's very short because it was supposed to be on a bench. So I'll read it twice. I can do that, I'm the poet, you know. First, so you can get familiar with it, and the second, so you can savor it. The Fallen. Nisei fall down 7 times, rise up again. In Rainier's shadow, sacred Torii beckons like Mount Fuji. Welcome sight after our release from World War II desert prisons. Cherry blossoms flutter like snow. Again, the fallen. Nisei fall down 7 times, rise up again. In Rainier's shadow, sacred Torii beckons like Mount Fuji. Welcome sight after our release from World War II desert prisons. Cherry blossoms flutter like snow. Thank you.
Style Torii, made of natural basalt and red cedar. We got our first sizable donation from the estate of Mimi Kraus that encouraged us in the daunting task of fundraising. With help from a number of volunteers, the Seattle Parks Foundation, additional grants from the Department of Neighborhoods, a large donation from Tsuchino and Mike Forrester, and help from about 300 other donors whose names you can read in your handout, we eventually made our fundraising goal. Our project manager, Beth Purcell, worked with Morassi Associates and Seattle Parks and Recreation to put the project out to bid, and WS Contractors completed the Torii in November 2020. But a celebration then was not possible as the pandemic was raging. The final piece of our project was to put in a donor recognition stone and the history stone that tells the story of the Torii that was nearly lost. These stones were designed by Maggie Johnson, and Seattle Parks donated and installed the plantings. Taylor Huang from Amazon came through with an additional donation to help us complete these stones and to pay for this celebration. Our new Torii, like its predecessor, is intended as a gift of intercultural friendship that welcomes all the many cultures that come together in Seward Park. This elusive goal of intercultural friendship has been fraught with the contradictions of racism and ethnic hostility in our country ever since Thomas Jefferson imagined a country in which all men are created equal, even as he held African Americans in enslavement, including some of his own children. Intercultural friendship was also the goal when Chief Seattle and the Duwamish welcomed the Denny Party in 1851 and taught them to survive, though 15 years later the Duwamish were driven from their territory and denied a promised reservation. The history of intercultural friendship between natives and almost all immigrant groups in America takes place on a background of diverse stories of disease, genocide, famine, enslavement, poverty, and especially war, which is currently sparking immigration from Ukraine, as it previously has from many other war-torn countries. We need to acknowledge this pain and suffering among our neighbors, even as we honor the gestures of friendship of our forebears, and celebrate this new Torii as a symbol of welcome and friendship to all. I want to thank every one of the 400 or so people named in your handouts who contributed to the new Torii with donations or with work of one kind or another. Whether you gave $1 or $100,000, a few minutes or hours, we needed your gift to bring us here today. And if your contribution is not listed on one of our handouts, I apologize for our imperfections and thank you here right now. Can we please give all of these contributors, large and small, an enormous round of applause? Finally, I'd like to extend a special thanks to the Torii Committee, who gave thousands of hours to see this project happen.
The Torii Committee, back row, Paul Talbert, Elizabeth Collar, David Berger, Ted Weinberg, Patricia Killam, Jan Medley, John Thorpe. Front row, Joan Seiko, Tia Hagano, Jerry Arai, and Donald Taniguchi in memory of Diane Taniguchi, and not present, Karen O'Brien.
All together, right? Okay, we're just do it one time. Ready? Sando, Ashira, Yuki, Kasagi. All right, great. So now we're going to do it 3 times, and then when we're done doing it 3 times, we're going to spread our hands out like this, and we're going to say Torii. All right? All right, ready? We're going to do it 3 times. Everybody, get set? Sando, Ashira, Yuki, Kasagi, Sando, Ashira, Nuki, Kasagi. 3rd time. Sando, Ashira, Nuki, Kasagi, Torii!
the song.